Hi, I'm Lisa Wallen with Directional Learning, and I welcome you teachers and parents to our Teacher Parent Edition. That's right. We're moving on to reading and spelling, and we've already done the handwriting program with the student where they wrote the letters of the alphabet in sequence from A to Z or Z to A in the reverse order. And guess what? They also learned the sequence and they learned to link the sounds to the letters. And they learned who our characters are in the story. So today we'll be using some of our character names. So guess what we're going to do next? If we're moving on to reading and spelling, it's important to teach them who the vowels are. Our vowels are going to be the red house or the red triangle or the red letter. And our consonants are going to be the blue flies or the blue dots or the blue letter. So we're using pictures to help them remember. So all you need for this is you need a whiteboard and you need some markers and you can even an eraser, and you can go to directionallearning.com and you can download our pictures for them. So we're teaching them the most important thing about reading and spelling. It's our vowels and our consonants. And we're going to be teaching them that our vowels can make different sounds when the blue fly is next to it or away from it. So we're going to be teaching them in a different way about vowels and consonants. So let's go get started. Okay, before we get started, remember we always review what we did the day before. So you'll have them write the alphabet from A to Z, or if they want a challenge, they can write it from Z to A. And remember, for them to remember the sequence, they can remember the stories and the characters. And make sure that they're linking their letters to the sounds as they write the letters. And also, you want to make sure that the middle letters are starting at the middle and the tall letters are starting at the top, and letters that go underground are going underground, and that their letters are sitting on the lines. So after you've done that with the student, now it's time to teach them about vowels and consonants. So let's do that. Now that you learn about our letters and the sounds they can make, I wanted to tell you that some of our letters here can make different sounds. Their sounds can change. And their sounds are special because they can change. And I call those, you might know them as vowels. Our vowels can change. Like for instance, this letter here is called a vowel, and vowels are important. And I'm going to put a red triangle underneath it because our vowels, they get red triangles underneath them. Now these red triangles, I think of them as a house. So let me build a house so you can see what I mean. Doesn't that look like a house? So you can think of it as a house or a red triangle. So they're special. So they're going to get houses underneath them. So what else makes them special is their sounds can change. Our vowels, their sounds can change. Can you tell me who else is a vowel here? And they may say the elephant, so you can say, yeah, the elephant is a vowel, so it's going to get a red letter, a red triangle underneath it. It's a red letter. Now, can you tell me who else is a vowel in here? Yeah, the Indian elephant is, so it's going to get a red letter. Its sounds can change. It's an important letter. Now, can you tell me over here who is a vowel? Yes, the rock is a vowel. It's going to get a red triangle underneath it. It's a red letter. Has a red house underneath it. Can you tell me over here? The up guy, he's a vowel too. So he's going to get a red letter underneath him. So these letters that have the red triangles are vowels. And what makes them special is their sounds can change. I call them changing letters because that's what they do. Vowels turn into changing letters. Their sounds can change. Now keep in mind, if this was a older student, they would be able to point out which ones are the vowels usually. It's pretty easy for them. Now if they're a younger student, they may not know, so you can just show them by putting the triangles underneath the vowels and telling them they're vowels. Now do you notice the letters that don't have red triangles? We're going to give them blue dots. So they'll all get blue dots. And guess what? These blue dots, I want you to think of them as blue flies. See? We call them blue flies. They're blue letters. So every letter that doesn't have a red triangle, they will get blue dots on them. or blue flies. And we call them consonants. You might have heard of that word before, but what they really do is their sounds are constant. Their sounds stay the same. Their sounds do not change. So their sounds pretty much stay the same. Like this letter here, what sound does it make? Buh. This one here, duh. Its sounds stay the same. They're constant. Get it? Consonants, constant. So that's kind of how I explain it to them. So every letter that doesn't have a red triangle will get the blue flies. So you'll have them put the blue flies on each letter that doesn't have a red triangle. And we can call them blue letters, blue flies, and they're called consonants, but their sounds are constant, meaning they stay the same. You want them to have that understanding. So once they've understood that our changing letters, they can change sounds, and our blue letters, their sounds are going to be constant, meaning they're going to pretty much stay the same. Now we're going to teach them about this letter here, because this letter here gets a blue fly. But did you know that this letter here can be a vowel sometimes? So we're going to put a red triangle under it. So you kind of want to leave it at that. This letter is special because it can be a blue letter and it can be a red letter too sometimes. So now you're going to talk about the letters and how they can change. Well, remember this letter here the letters that have the red triangles on them? Well, their sounds can change, and I'm going to show you how they can change. I'm going to show you the first sound that they can make. So take our vowel here. I have the apple on a stick. Now notice on the 3 side, which would be this side, which is the right, there's a blue fly there. Let me get my blue fly out. You can pretend that's a blue fly. Whenever you have a red letter and there's a blue fly next door, we like to pretend that blue dot is this blue fly. Guess what? This letter gets to make its baby sound. So what I do is I bring out a short stick and I put it over the letter, just like that. And I say its baby sound is ah. Notice I gave it a baby stick or a short stick because that's the sound for it. That's the short sound or the baby sound, ah. Same sound as the handwriting. So whenever there's a blue fly next door on the 3 side, this is the 3 side, then it does its baby sound, ah. Okay, so then I take them to the next letter, and it's going to be a pattern, you'll see. So I look at this red letter here, this elephant. Now who's on the 3 side? It's a blue fly. It can be any blue fly. If there's a blue fly on the 3 side, then it too does its baby sound. So I bring out the baby stick or the short stick and make it say its baby sound. What is eh, eh? So it does its baby sound whenever there's a blue fly next door. Baby sound is the handwriting sound. So then I go to the Indian elephant and I say, what if there was a blue fly on the 3 side? There's a blue fly on the 3 side now. What kind of sound is it going to make? It's too going to make its baby sound. So I get the baby stick or the short stick so it can make its baby sound or short sound. Eh, eh. Whenever there's a blue fly, it cries eh. So, do you see the pattern? You want them to see the pattern that every time there's a blue fly, it will do its baby sound. And that's our handwriting sound. So, we'll move on to the next letter. What if I had a rock here and say I had a blue fly on the 3 side? What kind of sound is it going to make? It too is going to make its baby sound or its short sound. And can you remember what sound that is? It's ah. Ah. Remember, it was an apple, it turned into a rock. You're at the dentist. It says open wide, you say ah. Or there's a blue fly next door, so you say ah. A lot of times the kids will get that sound confused with the long sound. So that's why I remind them of that story. And it's most helpful for them. So there's a blue fly, it's going to do its baby sound. That's a dentist sound, ah. Notice that when you say that sound ah, your fingers and the line match up to the movement, ah, ah. And then we'll move them to the next letter, to the up guy. Well, what if there was a blue fly next door? to the up guy on the 3 side. It too would say its baby sound. What's its baby sound? Do you remember? Uh, just tell them it's the handwriting sound we've been practicing. If they still can't remember the sound, point up in the air and say up. Say the first part of up. Uh. So you want to remind them that every time there's a red letter and there's a blue fly next door, it's going to cry its baby sound. So then you want to practice again. And what I do is I just go through the whole alphabet with the vowels and I'll say, here's a red letter. Now, when there's a blue fly, what kind of sound is it going to make? And they should say the baby sound, the short sound, ah, and say that sound. And then take them to the next letter here. If there's a blue fly next door, what kind of sound is it going to make? And they should remember that it's going to say its baby sound, so it gets a baby stick or a short stick. And have them say that sound. Eh, eh. Notice my finger, as I trace it, is just a little short movement. Eh, eh, because it's a short sound or a baby sound. Eh, eh. And then take them to this letter here. Say there's a blue fly there. Let's move this here. It too will do its baby sound. What's its baby sound? Eh, eh. And then just take them to the next letter here and here. And make sure they understand the pattern. Okay, now the second sound that I'm going to show you that our changing letter can make is, what if there was nobody next door on the 3 side? Watch. I'm going to cover them up and we're going to pretend nobody is there. What if nobody's there next door? Then guess what? Our changing letter gets to scream its letter name. Do you know its letter name? What would we call this letter? A. It gets to scream, A. I'm alone. There's no blue fly next to me. That's what it gets to do. It gets to scream, A. Its letter name. That's its letter name it gets to scream. It gets to scream, A. There's no one next door to me. Notice the sound is different. Watch. A. It's screaming its letter name. When there's no blue fly next door, it gets to scream its letter name, A. So that's how you teach the second sound to the student. So then you want to take them to the next vowel, which would be this letter here. So let's look at this letter. If there was nobody next door, no blue fly next door, guess what letter sound it gets to make? It gets to scream its name too. What's its letter name? Do you know? And they should say, it screams E. That's its letter name, E. So you can always have them exaggerate it, the sound. I like to exaggerate the sound so that it matches the hand movement and our long line. E. It gets to scream E. It's happy because there's no blue fly next door. Notice I'm using a star to show you. You don't have to use a star. You could actually delete it on your board or erase it on your board. It's a little hard for me to erase it on my board, but a star will work too. So you want to have them match the sound, E, to the line and over-exaggerate the sound. So then I'll take them to the next vowel. Notice how I'm going in order as well. So I'll take them to this red letter here and I'll say, now look here. Do you notice that there is nobody next door on the 3 side? Well, guess what sound it gets to make? When there's no blue fly next door, it gets to scream its letter name. Letter name is I. So you want to bring the long stick over and have them scream I. And notice that there's no blue fly next door, so it gets to say, I am alone. There's no blue fly next door to me. So I get to scream my letter name, I. Over-exaggerate it. And also you want to tell them, since there's no blue fly there, it just gets to scream its letter name. If they're having problems knowing what the letter name is, tell them this is where we sing the alphabet, the ABC song. Notice this one says A. This one says E. This one says I. It's the ABC song. When there's no blue fly next door, it gets to sing the ABC song. You can remind them. That's kind of helpful sometimes for some students. Okay, so then let's move on to the next vowel here. Notice there's no blue fly next door on a 3 side. Well, it too gets to scream its name. It gets to scream its letter name, so it gets the long stick. It gets to say, oh, oh. Notice the sound matches the hand movement. Watch. Oh, oh. It's a long sound. So you want them to see the pattern that when there's no blue fly next door, they get to scream their letter name. And this letter name is O. Okay, so then we're going to move to this letter here. Now we know that there's 2 sounds for this letter, but we're only going to do its letter name. Its letter name is what? U. So we're only going to teach that one first. We're not going to teach U quite yet. So you want to teach them the same one so that it keeps the pattern consistent. So you want to tell them there's no blue fly next door. Guess what sound it gets to make? It gets to scream its letter name, U. So you're going to give them the stick to put above it. And they'll say, you, thing so that they see the pattern and understand the pattern. You're going to go through the vowels again, and you're going to pretend there's no blue fly there. You can either erase it, put a star there, whatever, to cover it. So if there's no blue fly there, guess what it gets to do? It gets to scream its letter name. And what's its letter name? And they'll take the stick, put the long stick there. It gets to scream its letter name. It's the long sound. It says A. And then you'll move to the next vowel and practice the long sounds with them. And you'll go through each vowel so that they understand that, except for Y. We're not doing Y yet. Then, after you've done the long sounds and they understand the pattern that when there's not a blue fly there, it's going to scream its letter name. It's the ABC song. Then you'll go back and you'll practice short sounds with them. So what happens when there's a blue fly next door on the 3 side? Then they should get the short stick and say the sound is the baby sound. Ah, sounds like a baby crying. Ah, ah. Notice that the stick is different. Notice that the movement is different. Ah, and the sound is different. Because there's a blue fly there, it's going to cry. So it's going to do its baby sound. It's crybaby sound. So it gets a little short stick, a baby stick. Okay, so you're going to go through that and you're going to practice every short sound. And you're going to put a blue fly there and you're going to do each vowel, okay, except for Y. And you're doing this so that they understand the pattern. When there's a blue fly there, it's a short sound. When there's no blue fly there, then it's going to be a long sound, okay? So the next thing I start to do with the student is I have them decode, and you can see I have our shapes here with our colors, and I have our sound sticks here. That's what I call these, sound sticks, because they're going to make sounds, and by looking at them, they'll know this is going to be the baby sound or short sound, and this is the long sound. So I call them sound sticks. So what I'll do is I'll set the board up for them. Maybe I'll put a red triangle here, and then maybe park a blue fly on the 3 side. And I'll say, now, if I have a red triangle here next to a blue fly, what kind of sound will this triangle make? What kind of sound stick will we pick? Do you remember? It will do its baby sound because there's a blue fly there. So that's using logic for them. So they'll grab the baby stick, put it above the red triangle, and they'll say it'll make its baby sound or short sound. Now, notice that I have different terminology for the shapes. I can sometimes refer to this as the red letter or the red triangle or the red house or just the house or the triangle. Well, some students think in maybe just color, so they just want to think of red letter. And maybe some students think in picture, so they might picture a red house, or they might picture a shape, a triangle. So that's why I use different terminology depending on what they want to call it. I have some students that want to call it a red letter, or some students that insist that it's called a red triangle. So maybe they think in color and shape. And then some a red house, or maybe just a house. So I kind of let them pick. Same here, a blue letter or a blue fly or a blue circle, whatever they want to use. So that's why I use that terminology. Okay, so then you want to ask them, well, what happens if I take away the blue fly? So we have no blue fly on the 3 side. What kind of sound will the triangle make? And they should say a long sound. This letter is going to be able to scream its name. So then we'll just kind of play a game like that. I'll say, what happens if there's a blue fly on the 3 side? And they should get the baby stick, put it above, and say it's going to do its baby sound or short sound. So you just want to make sure that they understand how to decode. So now that you practice with them by just using the manipulatives, now we're going to actually bring in the letters. So maybe I would do something like this. I would have all my vowels here, so you can see the vowels, and I'd select a vowel here, and I'd say, okay, I have one red letter here, and I would build it for them. And if I had a blue fly on the 3 side, and notice this is the 3 side, the right side, and you can also tell them the right side is towards the end of the page if that's helpful. If I have a blue fly on the 3 side, what kind of sound is that going to make, that letter? Well, there's a blue fly there, so it's going to cry its baby sound. It's going to cry because there's a blue fly there. So there's the baby stick. So they can grab it, and that's the short sound, the sound that we were practicing all through the handwriting program. Sound is ah, ah. So you can practice like that with them. You can even do long sounds with them. You can bring the letter there. There's no blue fly next door. What kind of sound is it going to make? What sound stick do we pick? Do we pick the long or short? Pick the long, right? So they can grab it, and then they can say the sound. It's going to say its letter name, A. So you just want to practice with them with all the different vowels for short sounds and long sounds. So guess what this is? This is getting them ready to decode actual words. Like the word I have on my board. They'll be able to decode it using our manipulatives. So that's what we're going to be teaching in our next video. We're going to teach how to decode with using our sound sticks and our shapes. And guess what? We're going to be teaching about syllables as well. And we're going to be teaching the parts of the words for the student. So make sure you subscribe to Directional Learning because we can't wait to teach you more.